other people my age, and they're saying, oh, but when you get in your 40s, this, and this happens. And I think, no, it doesn't. That's down to your lifestyle choices. They're saying their joints are hurting and they're tired and, all these different things that I don't have to deal with. So I'd say if you want to be able to live and live to your fullest, actually, this is the way to go, because it gives you the energy, it gives you the strength, it gives you the mental clarity. It can help in business because, I've had some, going back to my clients again, I've had clients that have been too anxious to go for their dream job. And then they do this diet and then they get their dream job and everything changes. They start working out again. They're being sociable again. It's not just eat this food and it will make you slim. It's everything. When you feel good, you walk taller, you're smiling more. So you attract good energy when you're out. Good energy attracts good energy. So it's not just black and white as food equals slim. It's everything. So my name's Rachel. I'm at carnivore.fitness on Instagram and also now at tallow.glow because I've got this other business that I'm doing at the moment. I am 41 years old. I am a mother of 4. And yeah, basically what I'm known for is eating a lot of eggs, eating a lot of meat, and finding my health doing that.
Okay. So you mentioned your age there, 41. For me, this in the run up to this interview, it's been like a bit of a magic trick for me. Whereas I've shown people your profile and I've been like, guess how old she is. Guess how old she is. The youngest I've got is like mid-20s. The oldest I've got is early 30s.
Oh.
But yeah, just repeat how old you are again.
Yeah, so 41. And that is actually what I'm quite well known for. I did have a video that went viral because they were saying I was aging in reverse and stuff like that, which is quite funny. But yeah, so, and also I used to coach on Sean Baker's platform as well, and I used to be his podcast editor. So that's another few things that I was known for as well. But yeah, with the age, it's a big topic of conversation wherever I go. It really is. When I meet people, they're like, chatting and stuff, and then the age comes up and I say it and they're shocked. They're always shocked.
How much of it would you say is down to genetics and how much of it is down to your diet, do you reckon?
I do think I've got good genetics. I do. I'm not going to say I don't. But in the same kind of thing, 10 years ago, I looked older than I do now. And the thing that's changed is diet. So I'm the same person, but my diet has drastically changed. Like 10 years ago, I'd say probably 11 years ago, actually, I was doing a lot of juice detoxes and not putting the dots together about the fact that I was blacking out at the gym, my hair was falling out, I was getting memory loss, and it dramatically aged me for when I was doing all the juice detoxes. Luckily, I came across a PT who gave me this really good, at the time, good diet plan. Silly, eating 6 times a day, which is ridiculous, but it actually reversed the aging and, restored my health back again for that period of time. So, and that was actually a carb cycle diet plan. So there would be a high carb day, a medium and a low carb day. And actually my favorite day was always low carb day. And the PT I used to talk to him and he'd be like, you're mad. Everyone loves the high carb day. I was like, I can't stand the high carb day. It's awful. And I actually dreaded it, eating all that rice and everything. It was too much. But yeah, so that actually did help reverse a lot of damage that the juicing did. And the reason for that is there was a lot of fats in it, and the meat, the consumption of protein in it was really high. So those things helped.
So the leap from kind of carb cycling to carnivore, like, there's a lot that you remove from your diet from going from carb cycling to carnivore. So what was your journey to carnivore? How did you find out about it, and what has made you kind of stick to it?
Yeah, well, the journey was it's quite a long one. So back then when I was doing my carb cycling, I then fell pregnant with my 4th child. And after having my 4th child, I had some issues going on around, which actually set me off into like a bit of a depression for the first time in my life. And that was quite bad. So what I found is I was going to coffee shops, drinking coffee, having cake, just trying to get through the day kind of thing. And that obviously wasn't good. and that it was weird because my brain just felt really toxic at the time. It was quite bad, you know, and I stayed like that for a few years. I was overweight. I wanted to avoid everyone because I was always known as the fitness, you know, everyone used to be like, oh, you're the fitness queen, and you know, all this kind of stuff, and look up to me for stuff like that. But then I'd let my health go and I was embarrassed. And then one day I was like, okay, I've had enough. And I started going to the gym at like 4 a.m. to avoid everyone, to make sure I didn't see anyone. And had a friend at the time that was kind enough to come with me and humor my my ridiculousness of avoiding everyone. So she used to come at like 4 a.m. with me as well. So we did that for a little while. And then I came across, I don't know if you heard of The Magic Pill, the documentary, and that's more keto
Yes.
focused. So I watched
Mhm.
that and I was mind blown. I was like, actually, I think there could be something to this. This is quite crazy, but I'm going to try it. So I tried it, put my family on it as well. And all of us improved in health quite dramatically. I did that for 6 months, but the keto and carnivore worlds they are quite close together. So once you're in the
Mhm.
keto world, you start hearing about different carnivores. And I come across Sean Baker first, and I was thinking, this guy's absolutely insane. What is he talking about? Because obviously, when I was doing keto, I was doing net carbs. And the reason I was doing net carbs is because I wanted to eat the most amount of veg that I could, because I thought it was really important. So
Mm.
my plate was always piled high with veg. And then, you know, keto, they say moderate protein. I didn't used to cap my protein, so I always knew that, you know, I was always eating more than I was meant to. But yeah, so the keto diet did a lot for me, made me lose a bit of weight. Some of my health issues had gone. But then, you know, once I'd seen Sean Baker and all the other people that I thought were crazy, I was thinking, wait, but now, because what happens is it plants a seed and then you start thinking about things. So I was eating asparagus one day and I thought, wait, I'm bloated now and I feel a bit off. I don't
Mm.
feel as good as I was, you know, before when I'd had my bacon and eggs for breakfast. So I was noticing these little things, and it came up to the day before my daughter's birthday, and I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to do it. So jumped in. Day 3, I felt such a surge of energy, such great mental clarity. I didn't have any bad side effects. I was really lucky when I started, and I believe that was because I went keto to carnivore.
Mm.
And then I just thought, this is it. You know, first of all, I started it thinking these people are crazy. I'm going to disprove it. I just
Mm.
felt so amazing that I was like, I'm good actually. I'm good with this life. Who, you know, who cares about all the, you know, when people say this diet is restrictive? No, what's restrictive is how I was before, when I was avoiding
Mm.
everyone, when I, you know, cancelling all family plans, not doing anything. And now I can go out and do whatever I like, and I do. And there's always meat wherever you go, unless you're silly enough to end up in a vegan restaurant, which I wouldn't. You can. There's always a meat option. There's always a way of tailoring your meal to make it carnivore. So it's not impossible. It's very easy. And actually, when you give your body what it needs, that's what it keeps then calling for. You get over the initial cravings, and then that is actually what your body wants, and that is all it asks for. It doesn't ask for anything else. So this diet is the only diet I've ever been able to sustain long term. You know, the one after that was carb cycle, and I probably did that for maybe 6 months to a year. And I thought I was really good doing that. But this one, obviously, I could and plan to, if I still feel good, just do it forever, because it's just easy. It's just, you know, you go shopping, one section. It's so much. No, everything's simple. So, and I like that.
So you've touched on the fitness, your fitness background, and you've touched on obviously the carnivore and the meat eating. So the question that I've been wanting to ask
Mhm.
you, like since we connected on Instagram, is you got this fitness background, you lift weights, you eat meat. How often do people say you look manly?
Oh, never. I never get that. I never get that ever. Never. Never. Yeah.
See, the reason why I wanted to ask you the question is because it seems to be a hang up with a lot of women that lifting weights and also eating meat is something that's going to kind of, they're going to lose their femininity. They're going to, they're going to end up kind of looking like a caveman, which is actually, in fact, my wife, her colleagues
Mm.
have seen her eating like a whole load of eggs, and they say, there's her caveman diet. But yeah, like, what advice would you give to women out there that are considering, or listening right now, considering eating meat, but are worried that for some reason it will make them look manly?
Yeah, well, it won't, for one. I've been doing this over 5.5 years now, and the only thing that it does is it actually improves, what it does is it balances all your hormones. So if anything, you become more feminine because your hormones are in balance and they're exactly how they should be. You will find your monthly cycle will improve greatly. You have no pain, no cramps. You will just literally have the monthly cycle, and that's it. That's the only it's not even a downside. Before I used to dread the monthly cycle, now I don't. And with training, sorry, excuse me, the problem is there are some people out there that are women out there that are training, the ones that you see that look too ripped, they're either training for doing competition prep, which is a very different lifestyle and it's highly restrictive. Or they're actually taking a little bit of enhancers, should I say, and that is what changes their hormones. So they're now out of balance, and that's how they get the manly traits. If you go training, what you will find is, so you lose fat and you gain muscle. So you may be heavier on the scale, but physically you'll be smaller because the fat takes up a lot of space and the muscle doesn't. So you'll find you'll become smaller in places. And then, I do get a lot of compliments on my curves a lot, and, some people say that when you go carnivore, you lose your curves. It's not true. If you do see anyone doing that, my guess is they're over fasting and they're under eating, and that's why they're losing their curves and that's why they're looking less feminine. So as long as you're true to your hunger signals and you're not trying to over restrict, you're not trying to over fast, then what you'll find is your body will do the rest and everything will come into a line, and I'm sure that you will be happy with the outcome in the end. I mean, just the physical aspect of my transformation isn't my most favorite part of my transformation from the carnivore diet. Actually, it's getting rid of the anxiety, it's getting rid of the depression, it's getting rid of the cramps and pains every month. There's so many different things. It's actually made me more patient. There's so many different things that it gives you that are actually way more beneficial than the physical. And before doing this diet, one thing that was really bad for many years, especially when I was juicing, is I had really bad skin, really bad breakouts. As I said, that I advanced my age and I looked a lot older then than I do now. Plus I was covered in spots. So it wasn't nice. It's almost like my face shape changed as well. My lips were a bit more like sunken, and yeah, so it wasn't great. And then when I changed the diet, my skin's clear. Before I used to have to wear concealer, foundation, everything at all times. Now I don't wear it. I haven't got any makeup on right now. I do have some lashes on because my daughter put them on for me the other day. But yeah, literally I just put Tallow Glow on, which is the product that I mentioned earlier, Tallow Glow on, and then I'm good to go for the day, which makes it really nice and easy. But I think there's multiple benefits. Even when you're out, you don't have to constantly think about food. You literally eat until you're full, and then your body will let you know when you're hungry again. Obviously, in the beginning, some people have really messed up their bodies, ways that they signal that they're hungry, the way that they're full. So that may take a little while to get to that stage. But you just kind of have to trust the process and know that your body will be healing and you will get there eventually.
You mentioned earlier on, you mentioned the under eating, and I think from little bits that I've seen online, people's comments on other people's posts, I think that's quite a common thing. And for me, I had to almost change the way in which I ate. Like now on the kind of carnivore-ish, I'm more kind of carnivore-ish. Now on the carnivore-ish diet, I tend to gorge, so I tend to eat like quite big
Right.
meals,
Yeah.
which then, kind of sets me up for the rest of the day until, say, lunch or dinner. So did you have to change the way in which you ate? Because another issue that kind of I see with a lot of women is under eating is it's just a normal thing that they're used to. They're used to under eating. It's almost like a socialized thing. So for you, did you have to change the way that you ate as well?
Just the things that I ate really. I probably eat more now than I did before. I still eat 3 meals a day. I haven't changed that. Anytime that I have changed that and listened to someone else and thought, okay, I'll give this a go. What that does then is it makes me, if I do it for long enough, it makes me think about non-carnivore foods in that gap. And I feel like that will lead people to cheating. So the thing that I do with my coaching, what I find is the biggest problem with everyone, men and women, is under eating. Most people are under eating. What you find is people have starved themselves for years, men and women, and then they come to this diet and they don't know, their body has downgraded their signaling, it's downgraded all that. So they don't really know when they're hungry and when they're full, unfortunately. So what I tend to do is just give people, not the permission, but I just say, trust the process, eat enough. So for myself, I eat 3 meals a day, like for breakfast. I always have breakfast and I like to eat pretty much as soon as I get up. And that's either sometimes 10 eggs or it might be a kilo of chicken wings. I don't kind of eat small. I mean, I went to a carnivore retreat recently in Spain a couple of weeks ago. And when I tell people I eat a lot, I think they just think, yeah, whatever. And then in the carnivore retreat, it's eating twice a day. So I was finding I was starving at lunch. I was like, I'm really hungry. I need to eat. So I had to kind of plan it out a bit better. And I was having kind of, in the end, I think I was having 8 eggs and 4 burgers for breakfast and then getting more food to kind of bulk it up a bit more to kind of help get through. But I still found that I would be hungry. Obviously, that's more habit than anything else. But yeah, for me personally, I feel best when I'm doing 3 meals a day. That just sustains me. I don't ever need snacks in between. It's just literally, I give my body what it needs. But I mean, talking about clients, I had in the same week 3 different clients, 1 man, 2 women, all on 900 calories a day. Now, I'm not a calorie counter, but there were some issues they were all having. They'd improved in some aspects, but they were feeling cold, they're feeling tired. One of the women's hair was falling out. Another woman could not lose weight. No matter what she did, she couldn't lose weight. So this is at the very, very beginning. So I calculated the calories just as a baseline, so I could kind of understand what they're doing. And then what I did is once I upped this, I mean, one of the women was in Antarctica. It's very cold there. If anything, if you're looking at calories, you're going to need to consume more nutrients. Let's say that. You're going to need to consume more because your baseline temperature, your body temperature needs to be kept at a certain temperature. So you will need more nutrients to allow your body to do that. And she was really drastic. Obviously, 900 calories a day is nothing. It's really, she was working. She's a PT. And I said to her, you need to eat. And in the end, she was craving tallow and she was just eating tallow on the spoon. Yeah, she worked it out as something like 6,000 calories a day. Then she started losing weight. Funny enough, because I was like, you're really starving your body. There was another client that I had. She was again 900 calories, not losing weight, having to have a nap at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, all these different things. Her hair was really falling out. So that's when I worked out the calories, worked out it was 900, and we started a reverse diet. And within a few weeks, she felt like a whole new person. She lost inches off her waist. She was able to start training at the gym again because she had the energy. She stopped napping in the daytime. All these things were benefiting her. But then she stood on the scales. And when she was stood on the scales, the weight had gone up because muscle is heavier. And that really messed with her mind. And she started reverting back to restricting. And even though she had lost weight, she was down a dress size, all things like that. So yeah, there's some things that really play on people's minds, especially women, more women. But I just think if you treat your body well, you don't fast, you don't, actually, I don't fast. I do at night, obviously. And some people would say, Bart Kay says that every period that you're not eating is actually fasting. So when you say something like that, okay, so I eat 3 meals a day and in between that I'm fasting, but I don't purposely ignore my hunger signals and, don't eat and ignore my nutrition that my body's asking for. I've got myself in a good place where my body trusts that I'm not going to starve it, trusts that the nutrition is coming when it needs to. So it just doesn't hold on to all the fat and everything. And I have quite an easy time with it. But that is largely because I trusted the process and I just have gone with it.
So your take is, it seems to be very different to a lot of kind of carnivore people's takes, because a lot of people talk about the OMADs, doing 1 meal a day, and that seems to be, I don't know why it's so closely linked to carnivore, but a lot of carnivore people talk about doing this OMAD. I did it for a time. I did intermittent fasting a long time ago. But yeah, similar to you, I find that having 2 to 3 meals a day works best for me. But then, do you reckon that's broadly for everybody, or do you reckon that's more of an issue for people that are into training and lifting weights and stuff, that they need to fuel more regularly?
Obviously, if you're not training and you're not exerting yourself, you're going to need less nutrition. Your nutrition should be tailored to what you're doing. And that is why we have hunger signals. And that is why you shouldn't starve yourself, because some people, they've for years been getting up in the morning and they just have a coffee and they go and they don't eat until kind of afternoon. Well, that is then suppressing your body's, your body would have asked for nutrition, but you've suppressed that with a coffee because coffee suppresses your hunger. I feel like women don't do well on 1 meal a day. I don't advise it for women ever, actually. And I think that women start feeling better when they're eating at least 2 meals a day. And mostly free, actually, is what I've come across. People, their bodies are just behaving well. It helps with their cycle, because and obviously then women that I mentioned earlier, they had also lost their cycles, and then once we'd done the reverse and got them into a better state of health, their cycles came back. Yeah, so I do believe, obviously, the level of nutrition you're going to need if you're sedentary to actually active is going to be different. But what I find is most people that are on the carnivore diet have a lot of energy. So they're never sedentary. They may not be going to the gym, but they're doing other stuff around their house, or, they're very physical and active. It's not that they're sitting there and doing nothing. So they're using their body in different ways.
Mm-hmm. Is there a place for fasting at all?
I think in illness, when you may need to use that tool, it's definitely a tool that can be used. But I feel like with fasting, it can cause there's bad side effects to fasting. People really do sometimes get in this cycle of where they fast and it makes them lose a couple of pounds, and then they eat again and they're just doing the carnivore diet, but then it makes them gain 4 pounds. So they're worse off than when they started. Their body isn't signaling when it needs the food at the right times because it's downgraded itself. So I feel like there is a bad side to fasting. I feel like it is a tool and it can be used, especially in ill health. But I feel like people use that tool way too much, and they almost. So, for instance, I had some clients that before they came to me would fast, and then they would binge eat, but they would binge eat on all the wrong foods. And then it's this big cycle of, okay, then fasting again, binging, carnivore, and it was never a good outcome. They weren't happy with the way they looked. They weren't happy with the way they felt. And they didn't have all the benefits from the carnivore diet. So I feel like there can be a bad cycle that people get trapped in with especially women with this. And actually some people that I see that are fasting all the time and extended fasting, they look older. You can see it. It's kind of like their bodies are deficient in nutrients. You know, we are meant to intake nutrients. We're meant to feed our bodies, fuel our bodies to be going throughout the day and doing what we need to do. You know, because I was obviously on the coaching platform for Sean Baker before, we used to meet like once a week with the other coaches and then once a month with Sean and everyone else. And obviously daily meetings in between that anyway with the people that were in the membership of Rivera. Well, it was MeterX back then. And some of the coaches set me up a challenge because they were like, you never fast. It's really strange. You need to start fasting. And so I was like, okay. So I tried it. I just felt really hyperglycemic. I didn't feel good. And it just made me think of foods that I hadn't thought of for years. So I didn't see the point of doing it. And there was downsides to that, you know, and that's not something that I enjoy. I like to have a full head of hair. I like to look younger. I like to feel good, and I like to be full. I don't like to feel like I'm starving myself. So, you know, if you eat a huge amount and you're not hungry then for that lunchtime meal, say, then that's not forcing a fast. You can sometimes get through it. But what I find with my clients is, what I found in the past with my clients is, if people are not getting their nutrition in earlier on, then they're having to eat later on in the evening because they're starving, which means that, I mean, it's better, I think, to have kind of a cut off in the evening and not eat so late. But then I don't advocate people starving themselves. So if in the evening they're hungry, then they're going to have to eat. But they could have eaten that meal earlier on.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? If you get your nutrition in earlier, then you don't have to go to the extreme of eating late.
Yeah, that's what I've been telling a lot of my friends, is to have the majority of their calories in the earlier part of the day rather than the latter part of the day. And if they are to fast, to rather than skip breakfast, skip dinner or have an early dinner.
Yeah.
I used to, as I said before, I used to intermittent fast. I used to do 2 prolonged fasts a month. And I did that for like maybe about 6 months to a year. And now I do a prolonged fast of about, sometimes 24 hours, like every now and again. But it's not as religious as I was before. But yeah, I can see that too much of a good thing. You know, you see it on social a lot. People kind of get into the fast or the fasting, as I did, and you know, they kind of broadcast it and talk about it quite a lot. But yeah, I've kind of put the brakes on my prolonged fasting at the moment. I just wanted to go back to one thing that you said a little earlier on about your cycle. So another thing that, you know, I hear with women is, you know, during their cycle, they crave carbs. Is in your experience, is the craving of carbs during a cycle, is that a signal of something else? And how did you deal in your early days of kind of switching to carnivore? I mean, I don't know whether you before carnivore craved carbs during your cycle, and if you did, how did you adjust to that?
So I used to crave chocolate and junk food. Yeah. I find that anyone with cravings is undereating. That's normally what it is, or they're undernourishing in some way. So whether they're not eating enough fat, or they're just not eating enough at all, then that's when you will get cravings. This is why I think it's so important to actually be really well nourished, because then you don't get the cravings. It's just such an easier ride if you just nourish yourself and you don't ignore your body's signals, because obviously your body's signals are there for a reason. If your body's telling you you're hungry, well, that actually is there for a reason. Even like when you're eating, you know, sometimes something might taste really nice. Well, I believe that's because your body needs it. And then another time it might not taste so nice. Well, your body doesn't need it so much then. And I'm talking about foods in the carnivore kind of realm. I'm not talking about all the foods that are actually made to, you know, for you to become addicted to them. I'm just talking about carnivore space. So, I mean, when I first started, I was eating liver every day. And that went on for maybe 2 or 3 months. And I craved it, I enjoyed it. And so I ate it. got to a few months in, and I haven't eaten liver since. I can't stand it. I don't like it. It's like my body's built up that nutrient stores. I'm now no longer eating all of the carbs, the plants that deplete your nutrient stores. So the nutrients that I'm having, I'm, holding on to what I need. I've got a good nutrient store. So I don't. If someone actually cooks me, I don't like wasting food. And someone cooked me out, I think about a year ago. Actually, when we was in the retreat in Spain as well, there was liver. And I picked it up and I thought, maybe I'll like it this time. One bite and I thought, oh. And I think I gave my liver to Anthony Chafee because I was like, I can't eat this. You have it. It's disgusting. No way. But yeah, so I think going by as long as we're talking about the carnivore diet and not junk food, not carbs, not plants, because all those things can be easily overconsumed, and being careful with dairy as well, because dairy can be easily overconsumed. You listen to your cravings and what you like the taste of within the carnivore space, then I feel like that is your body asking for what it needs. And when you don't like it so much, your body's had enough of the nutrients in that food. So listening to the body, I think, is underrated.
Yes, 100%, 100%. What is, so, again, a mistake that people make when it comes to carnivore is just assuming that all meat is equal. So, the idea of, you can kind of eat loads of chicken or eat loads of turkey or, stuff that tends to be, lean protein sources. Where do you stand with the amount of fat people should consume, whether that's men and women or whether it's a broad thing? Do you think that people should be consuming more fattier meats? And if so, what could you give some examples of fattier meats that you yourself eat?
Yeah. Okay. So obviously you don't want to go for the chicken breast. When you're on the carnivore diet, your energy is coming from the fats. So you do need to eat high fats, and there's not many meats apart from like the chicken breasts and stuff like that, and whitefish, that are going to be too low in fat. But even if you're looking at the chicken and you want to do this cheaper, you can get chicken wings. Chicken wings are extremely high fat and they're actually cooked right. They're pretty good. Just salt on them, put them in the air fryer. You can get that skin really crispy and you can keep the chicken moist. Delicious. And the fat content in it there is really good. Obviously, some people complain that the fat content is too high in omega-6, when you look at the omega-6, omega-3. But I don't have an issue with chicken wings. That is the only part of the chicken that I do eat. But I do eat that regularly, and I don't have any issues with that. Obviously, if you want to be completely optimal, I think the best thing to do is stick with the ruminant meats. And that's animals that have a rumen. They obviously ferment the plants and it gets rid of some of the plant toxins and stuff like that. So that's why that's a better meat to go for, and they've got a higher content of nutrients in the meat that you're eating.
So for those that don't know what ruminant is, that's like your beef, your lamb, your goat. Am I missing anything out? Beef, lamb, goat.
Yeah.
They're the common ones anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're the ones you'll get in the supermarket. But yeah.
So those are all good, and actually I always feel my best if I'm eating lamb. Lamb is my favorite taste wise, and actually it makes me feel really good. But obviously in the UK, I don't know about everywhere else, but it's a lot more expensive than eating any other meat. So sometimes you have to weigh that up and just get for the volume. But I mean, if I had it my way, I'd just be eating lamb all the time.
What's a typical day of eating for you? What's a breakfast? What's a lunch? Well, what did you have for breakfast and lunch and dinner yesterday?
Okay, so I'm going through a bit of an egg phase at the moment. I'm really enjoying eggs. So have you seen the egg puddings?
Is that just boiled egg with butter and?
Well, you just make up eggs, and I put 10 eggs in, mix it up, and then I add, not yesterday, the day before, I added cream to that, double cream, whisk that up, and then you put it in in a dish. So it's in a dish already, but you put that dish in a dish that's got a shallow bed of water. in the oven, cook that for a little while. But what I do with that one is I see, because you get skin on top, I stop the cooking, take the skin off, eat that, leave it cooking. And then I'm really disappointed when it's cooked through, because that's the best bit, is the skin. So yeah, so I had that for breakfast. Then I had kilo of chicken wings for lunch. And then I had just like beef mince made into meatballs for dinner.
Hmm. And what's the like? What are you always going for? Kind of top quality meat? Are you always going for like the grass fed options, or you kind of pretty flexible?
Yeah, no, I'm not actually, because I just do it within my budget. I do,
Mm.
obviously, I've got family, and we just get whatever is in our budget for that week. And it doesn't often include grass fed, grass finished meat. But
Mm.
the nice thing that people can think about in regards to that is, you know, earlier on, I think I'd been carnivore for maybe 6 months to a year. And
Mm.
Sean Baker had put out that there's Harvard want to do a study on the carnivores. So I took part in that study. I was a participant, and basically they looked at a number of things. But one of the things that they did look at is grass fed, grass finished versus grain fed meat and people's health
Hmm.
outcomes. The health outcomes
Hmm.
were the same regardless. The thing that was helpful is that people were eating this diet. Um,
Okay.
so the health outcomes were the same. Obviously, if people want to eat grass fed, grass finished, it's in their budget and they enjoy the meat because it does have a different taste, then they
Mm.
should do that because it is more ethical. But if they
Hmm.
can't,
Mm.
then don't beat yourself up about it. Go and get the meat. It's going to make you feel better. It will improve your health anyway, regardless.
Mm.
And don't feel guilty about it.
Talking of family and kind of budgeting and stuff, like, is it kind of difficult to shop for four? And also, like, when it's it's coming up to Christmas now, do you relax a little bit with the diet, or do you kind of stick to being a carnivore purist?
Yeah, no, my diet pretty much stays the same year round.
Mm.
There has been times where I've had some cheats over the years. For the first 3 years, I didn't have any cheats at all. I was very strict with my spices, with everything. And I
Mm.
wasn't drinking alcohol, anything. So nothing at all, just carnivore. In the last 2 years, there's probably been a few. I did this experiment last Christmas, so I suppose you could say I did relax it that Christmas to see how I'd feel if I just ate whatever for
Mm.
2 weeks. It was horrific. My skin
Mm.
was horrendous, and I had psoriasis on my scalp. It was really, really bad, really bad. So I don't even think I lasted the 2 weeks in the end, because it was that bad. It just was not good. And it just did make me feel more grateful for how healthy I feel normal. And I thought, yeah, it's not worth it. It's not worth it at all. So I think obviously with some people, what they might cheat once, and then it can really highlight how good you actually do feel on the carnivore diet. And then, you know, it's up to you to weigh it up. You can cheat if you want, but you will have those side effects, and then you'll have to deal with it for however long it takes to get over those side effects. Is it worth it? Is it not? Is it helping you towards your goals? Probably not. I always say to people to have a list of why they're doing the diet earlier on. Obviously, now I don't need to do anything like that, but whys and goals. Short-term goals are better than long-term goals. Um, and those goals can change as you go along, and you kind of reach each goal, you can update that. It might be, I want to put an old skirt on, or I want to be able to go out without feeling anxious, or everyone has different goals. And that's quite amazing about the diet, is that so many people get so many different things from it, um, which is quite amazing. So yeah, I think it's best to stay carnivore, but if you do slip up, don't beat yourself up about it. If you do beat yourself up, you will guarantee another slip up, because you've got that in your head, and you're feeling guilty, and it's just going to lead you down to another slip up. So, oh, it's done. Okay, get back on this diet and it's fine. Never off. It was just a little whatever.
I often say to friends and family is like, once you start eating this way, once you feel how kind of mentally kind of clear you feel, how physically well you feel. Um, yeah, you tend not to want to jeopardize it.
Yeah.
But yeah, link to that. When you're socializing, when you're, because I see on your Instagram, you like to go out, you like to club and stuff. Me, funnily enough, as I've got older, like my closest friends, they're big ravers,
Mm.
and I completely have stopped. I don't know whether it's a combination of the diet or having a young daughter, but yeah, for some reason I've kind of put the brakes on me kind of socializing and clubbing and all of this. So how do you, or what advice would you give to people who have like a very kind of vibrant social circle, who potentially drink and don't eat particularly well? Like, what advice would you give to people when they're kind of like in the midst of that? When once they go to a club, or they go to an event, and their friends are kind of egging them on to drink, or eat the bowl of chips
Mm.
or whatever. How do you? What advice would you give to people?
Yeah, I mean, if alcohol is going to lead you to a binge, then it's good to just completely abstain from it and don't go near it at all. There's better alcoholic drinks to drink. I don't advise and I don't advocate for alcohol whatsoever. You must understand it's not going to do your health any good. It is going to be to a detriment, and it is going to give you some side effects, maybe for up to kind of 3-4 weeks after drinking it. But there you can choose more wisely, so there's less of an impact. And actually, if you are going to drink, then being on this diet is going to be protective of your liver. So, it would be the best possible kind of outcome. If you're going to drink anyway, and if you're going to eat the junk food, well, that's a double-edged sword. You're really going to mess yourself up that way. But if you are going to drink anyway and that's in your mind, maybe you want to readdress that at a later time. But you are far better off doing this diet and drinking something like, spirit, like maybe vodka, and maybe some like soda water and lime, something like that. When I go out, that's I don't drink a lot, but when I do go out on the occasion, I do fancy a little drink. That's what I have, is the vodka, soda water and lime. I find that I don't actually get side effects from that. And that is what a lot of people will say, is it's because the diet is so protective of the liver and things, that's why you can kind of bypass it a little bit. But yeah, it's not often. It's definitely not for your health. It's not something that I would say, yeah, go and drink and do this, but understand it has side effects, and obviously everyone is up to making their own choices. This whole carnivore diet is not a cult. It's do what works for you. If that means introducing something, okay. If you've tried pure carnivore and you've done it for long enough, and you want to reintroduce things, then do that. I do think optimal health is pure carnivore, but if that doesn't work for you for some reason, then don't kind of beat yourself. Do the best that you can. But yeah, I would obviously stress that pure carnivore would be the best possible outcome for your health. Avoiding alcohol would be the best possible outcome.
I was going to say, so introducing stuff. So you just mentioned about, if you want to introduce stuff later on, give it a go. Where do you where do you lie with fruit and veg? So do you consider one worse than the other? Do you consider them both the same? Where do you stand with fruit and veg?
For me personally, I've had experience with, was that 2 years ago? I was making lollies with my youngest son, and we made them out of just strawberries and yogurt. Blended it up, made some lollies, and he was really enjoying them. And he was like, "Oh, Mummy, please try one, please try one." I was like, "I'm good, thank you." And he went on and on. He was like, "I really want you to try one." So I was like, "Okay." So I tried one, and then later on, my ankles swelled up, like they went huge. I had some side effects from that, and I thought, yeah, it's not really worth it. And to be honest, I don't ever crave any of that. I don't ever crave fruits or vegetables anymore. So that's not something that I include in my diet at all. I have had some clients that are following the fruit and honey way, and they find that they've got all these different side effects and issues that have cropped up since they've done that. So I normally have to kind of unpick and undo a bit of damage and kind of revert it back a little bit. But obviously, as I said, I feel the optimal diet is pure carnivore. But if someone wants to accept the side effects and introduce something else, then we're all adults, and that's totally down to them. It's not that I'm going to say, bad person, I'm not going to speak to you anymore, or like the vegans do. But I still will stand by the fact that I think the carnivore diet in its purest form will make you feel the best. Personally, that's what I've experienced, and that's what I see, with clients and stuff as well.
All right, so everybody's listened to this now, and you've got a whole heap of, you've convinced a whole load of people now to get into carnivore and eat meat. Like, kind of referencing stuff that you've mentioned already, could you use yourself as like an illustration as to the benefits, like like where you were, kind of in your kind of bad health days to where you are now? Could you use yourself as an illustration to kind of, cap off the reason why someone should go carnivore?
So I would say if you like being mentally strong, if you like being physically strong, if you like feeling good, and not having issues with your hormones and things like that, then that is why I would go carnivore, because of those things. I feel like we get one body and we should treat it well. Some people say, oh, you're so boring, and I'm not boring. Anyone that's in my close circle will not tell I'm the least boring person they know. It's just I don't use my food for comfort or joy or anything. So having said that, I do enjoy every meal that I eat. But it's not the same as when people are sitting there obviously burying their head in a tub of ice cream and stuff like that. So for me, I think being mentally strong and physically strong is really important. And to just live into your fullest. There's other people my age and they're saying, oh, but when you get in your 40s, this, and this happens. And I think, no, it doesn't. That's down to your lifestyle choices. They're saying their joints are hurting and they're tired and, all these different things that I don't have to deal with. So I'd say, if you want to be able to live to your fullest, actually, this is the way to go, because it gives you the energy, it gives you the strength, it gives you the mental clarity. It can help in business because, I've had some, going back to my clients again, I've had clients that have been too anxious to go for their dream job. And then they do this diet and then they get their dream job and everything changes. They start working out again. They're being sociable again. It's not just eat this food and it will make you slim. It's everything. When you feel good, you walk taller, you're smiling more. So you attract good energy when you're out. Good energy attracts good energy. So it's not just black and white as food equals slim. It's everything. That would be it. Everything.
Oh, brilliant. So as you can tell through some of the questions that I've asked you, I kind of reference your experience as a woman, because one of the reasons why I have changed my diet and focused on my health over the years is because a lot of the women in my life have either suffered or are suffering. So it's kind of it's left a big imprint on me. One thing that I hear a lot of women in, like, cousins and aunties in their 40s and 50s talking about is the menopause. I know you're in your early 40s and you're healthy, so it's not something that is kind of knocking on your door at the moment. But I guess with dealing with some of your clients, has there been any examples of people that have kind of benefited from the carnivore way of eating with regard to the menopause?
Yes. So I had a friend before that had gone through the menopause, stopped having her cycle, and was having all the hot sweats and everything. She went on the diet, her cycle returned, she stopped having the hot sweats, and things reversed. So I do find, I did an interview with Dr. Robert Kiltz recently, and obviously he's the fertility doctor and he's very well versed in all of this. And he has said quite often that women that go on this diet, they're they've been through the menopause. They have no cycle anymore. They go on this diet, the cycle returns, and then they become pregnant, and some people might not want that. But basically, what I'm saying is your hormones become balanced. What we think is normal is not normal. And people that are having these different health issues, it's not normal. What we accept as normal isn't. And actually, when you give your body all the nutrition that it needs and you really look after it, it can perform much more efficiently, much more easier. And with all the hormones and everything, I do find that women, their cycle returns, and they think, it's quite miraculous.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Rachel, is there anything else that you want to say to the people watching this?
Well, maybe just to try it. I have many health benefits from the diet, and that's why I'm still going at over 5.5 years. And I don't see that changing. But obviously, if my health all of a sudden went downhill, which I doubt it will, then I would think about changing it. But at the moment, I'm very happy with what I'm doing. It gives me my freedom, and it just means that I don't have to constantly think about food because I'm well fed, well nourished, and it's pretty amazing, really, from before having all the struggles and then now no struggles whatsoever. I mean, someone said to me before, "Do you have any health issues?" And I sat there for quite a while, like, no. There's nothing I can think of that I can complain about. Skin's softer. And obviously the skin improved dramatically from going carnivore, and then now I make my own creams and I sell those on Tallow Glow. And that improved my skin even more. So what I get a lot is people just mistaking me for someone a lot younger, which is nice. And everything is, there has been no downsides. And if you're confident when you go to a restaurant and you could manage to be able to talk to the waiter, waitress, and negotiate a good meal for you, it's fine. Don't be embarrassed about it. Just kind of do it. It's really easy. But yeah, so my last thoughts would be, if you're thinking about it, do it, because it will change everything.
Okay. Rachel, this has been awesome. I'm glad that we got to do this. And thank you so much for your time and also your knowledge. There's a lot of stuff that you've kind of mentioned that I haven't been able to touch on with other people that I've interviewed. And as I said, it's close to my heart. The women in my life and their health. So I'm grateful that you've spoken about women's health in regard to carnivore. Thank you. What have you got for the rest of the day? Is this a day of interviews for you?
No, I'm actually doing a day of all things Tallow Glow, and getting a training session in there at some point as well. But basically. But thank you so much for having me on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
No worries. I'm gonna splice everything up and I'm gonna put some snippets up, and I'll give you the heads up when they go up onto Instagram and YouTube and all.
Looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
Okay. Right. Cheers. Thanks
Good
a lot.
day. Take care.
Take care. Bye.